So let me try and get him on for a second, and then let me come to Mr. Pranav Sayta on, I think, the big question on top of mind. If the push and the ask is to put more money in the hands of people, is there any chance that they would try and tinker with personal taxes? Do you think that they will succumb maybe to the temptation of capital gains tax? Does that seem in the realm of possibility with what you're penciling in, Mr. Sayta?
So yes, on the expenditure side, I do think there will be a push towards consumption, towards more revenue expenditure of the government, a little more focus on revenue expenditure of the government than capex has been for the last few years. But I don't think on the revenue generation side, from the taxation standpoint, I don't expect any major tinkering with the capital gains tax regime. I do feel on the personal tax side, which was the other question, I do feel there'll be some more money left in the hands of consumers, whether it is increase in the threshold limits for individual taxation across the spectrum, or whether it is in terms of a higher standard deduction for salaried taxpayers. So I do feel some more money in the hands of personal income taxpayers so that there is a consumption push and it helps tackle inflation to these guys. And also, I do feel that the capital gains tax regime will be kept by and large stable. I wouldn't be completely surprised if on the short-term capital gains tax, there is some tinkering, whether it is in terms of increase in the rate or increase in the period of holding. But largely for long-term capital gains tax, I don't anticipate any major tinkering at all.
Okay. Manish Dangi, let's start with that, the point that Mr. Pranav Sayta made. Is that a relief, or do you anticipate, or I mean, is the market working with an estimate of some tinkering in capital gains? And if it doesn't happen, it's a relief, or is it a tape that has played nearly every single time ahead of budget and therefore not really that important?
No, it's the thing whose time will someday come. And so it's just that the train coming from the other side, and it will hit you someday. It will more or less certainly hit you in this term of Modi government. It is not a local thing. It's a global consensus to tax the rich, and therefore, would come, but very likely, given the mandate and, the priorities that may have changed for this government, given relatively weaker mandate, I would say, I would agree with the gentleman that, it may not come. Some form of harmonization in terms of, various asset classes having different tenor for capital gain, long-term capital gain, could collapse into just one, which could be 2 years. So that could come, but and of course short-term capital gain. But these are all sort of pure speculation. No one knows. I'm very certain on this, that the capital gains, pretty much all will eventually get aligned, will align with what Europe does instead of what US does.